Welcome everyone. So Nvidia came out with their Q2 results. And during the conference call, they dropped two bombshell news. And trust me, I cringe to use words like bombshell or massive because I think they are overblown on YouTube. But these two pieces of news are really that big. Let's cover them in this video and I'll share how I plan to trade Nvidia after the earnings. Let's look at few key numbers before we dive into the bombshell news, and we are starting right now. So their revenue came out to be about 6.51 billion and analysts were expecting about 6.33 billion right here. They beat the estimates on their gaming, which is their hot sector right now, and their data center, which is their big new addition, and it's connected to one of the bombshell news that I'm about to share. Now the stock is up only by about 1.5% this morning. With numbers like that, I thought they delivered a good quarter despite being supply constrained like all other manufacturers. Few key reasons why the stock is down are their crypto mining business came out softer than expected, and their purchase of ARM, which is another manufacturer of the chips, that is still lingering, which in my opinion is going to go through. Okay, so back to the news. I'm not gonna waste any time. This is where it gets real. So let me share the bad news first. During the conference call, they were asked about the supply constraint and also the chip shortages. Now, they are really in the middle of all these chips because again, they are manufacturing the products that company uses to deliver graphics, to deliver performance. So they're in the middle of these chip shortages. So when the first analyst asked the question, this was their reply. There are few options we are looking at and will offer the best option to the consumer. Very vague. I didn't know what to make of it. I was like, what are you trying to say? Then the second analyst came around and asked a very direct question. And this time they responded much better. We see, and this is their response, by the way, I'm quoting it. We see supply restraints for vast majority of next year. This is not good news at all, folks, because all manufacturers, doesn't matter it's Tesla, NIO, Nvidia, they all are affected by these chip shortages. And if a big company like Nvidia, who have direct relationship with these chip manufacturers, and they are the chip manufacturer, if they're seeing delays leading up to next year, we were thinking that we are going to see an ease up on delays at the end of this year. They're saying we could see the delays in 2022. Which is massive because all these big companies will be supply constrained, which is going to be massive and not good for the companies like Tesla, those who have so many big plans for this year and also for next year where they're ramping up the production like crazy. Especially companies like Lucid. Think about CCIV or Lucid, right? They are just starting out. They cannot even deliver their first car and they are hit by these chip shortages. So I feel the bombshell news that Nvidia dropped during the conference call, it's much bigger than just one industry. This is going in various different industries, and it's not a good news in my opinion for the market and for these high-tech growth stocks. This is big news because market was hoping a ease in Q4 of 2021 this year, but they're saying we can see the constraint all the way in 2022 and maybe 2023. Not cool, because if they're saying 2022, who knows that what the Q1 of 2023 is going to look like. I was really bummed out when I heard this on the conference call. I was like, okay, this is not good. Okay, so that was the bad news. Now let's talk about the good news. So I have divided this into two parts. So during the conference call, one of the opening statements made by Nvidia was this: everything that moves will be autonomous one day. Let that sink in for a moment. Everything that moves will be on autopilot one day. That's a very bold statement. Think about the industries. Think about everything that moves right now will be autonomous one day. That brings me to share some highlights that this company is involved with right now to make that future a possibility. So they developed, on your screen I'm going to show you, they developed something called Omniverse. It's a platform and they call it Omniverse. This is where companies can create a digital twin of their business and plug in AI to see the real-time effect on their business. Does this remind you of another company? Palantir, right? That's what they're doing. They're creating a digital twin of the energy companies. I actually covered this in one of my videos and I'm going to link it up here. So they're actually creating a digital twin of the business, of the entire business, and then plugging in AI before the company can actually adopt AI and see what kind of effects the company is going to have. And they're providing it as an open source. This is really powerful. Along with that, they also share about what all you can do with this. right here. You can actually go follow these steps and actually perform the real world AI into the digital world, which is, and vice versa, they say. They can actually plug it in the real world and see the effect in the digital world. I mean, this is massive. Then the next part of their news, and this is big. They're talking about autonomous ride hailing. So Nvidia is involved in a major way in autonomous ride hailing. Most of us know that. Look at this. Cruise, Zoox, Didi, AutoX, they're working with all these companies. And on top of that, they actually mentioned that the very first autonomous ride hailing service is now available by AutoX right here in Shanghai. And Nvidia is the chip in that car. So we all know that the success of a company in this autonomous world lies in collecting data and using data. Now, Nvidia is making chips and also integrating itself in the data center, which is one of their new businesses. I feel that they're positioned to take full advantage of this transformation, and the best part is the cost. Think about it. Nvidia owns the software. They have no skin in making the cars or making big factories or having huge investment in the factories or being stuck to a particular software. They can plug into Cruise, Zoox, Didi, Pony, Xpeng, so many different car companies seamlessly. It's kind of like Palantir of chips, where they can sit on top of all these platforms and collect the data to make their chips better, in return, get a better return to their customers. So I'm really thrilled, and when I saw this slide, this was really exciting part for me about this company, because I feel this company is going to be huge in this autonomous world. And look, they're already making that a reality by offering people to do more with the autonomous and AI. The AI is huge for them, and they even mentioned a few times in the conference call that AI is a big part of future computing. And I'm gonna actually quote one of their statements, which was so powerful in the conference call that made me think that, you know what, this is really a big deal for this company. So now let's talk about the trades along with, of course, current market conditions. So even though Nvidia is one of my highest conviction stock, I do not own a single stock of Nvidia. So how am I doing this? How am I saying that this is a high conviction stock, yet I don't own a single stock of Nvidia? So as an investor, which I deeply care about where I put my funds to use and what kind of funds I put to use. So one of my game plan in investing is that I make my money work hardest for me. And this is what I played. So when Nvidia announced the stock split, I went ahead and bought one call for January 2023 before the split. Because I knew that after the split, the call will split into 4 for the strike of $175. Basically, I have the right to buy 400 shares of Nvidia for $175 in January of 2023. This is my trade right here. I have 4 January 2023 $175 call. Now, after hearing the conference call and that they are expecting supply chain constraint to be majority of 2022, I think I made a smart decision. I honestly feel after listening to the conference call that we will see the supply chain constraint until Q3 or Q4 of 2022, and then the improvement will come in 2023. But regardless, I played this trade way before this, of course, quarter and way before the split. As soon as the split was announced, I played this call. So I'm up almost 76% on the call, or about $7,600. I'm up on these 4 calls. I do not plan to sell these calls, but I do have few options, to kind of play this. Number 1, to keep my calls the way it is and exercise them in January 2023 for $175 per share. So I will own 400 shares of Nvidia in January 2023 if I exercise this for $175. That's my number 1 option. Number 2, sell my calls in the next run up, which could be today, which could be 2 months from now. We don't know. Nobody knows. And then use that money to buy the stock at that price or on a next major red day. Number 3, wait for a red day. If and when stock falls under 175, then go ahead and buy the shares that day when it drops under 175. Because think about it, I'm planning on buying a 400 Nvidia share at 175 in January 2023. So if the stock drops to 150, let's say in January of 2022, I will go and buy a few shares to add, because my lowest cost right now, what I'm estimating, will be $175. But 150 sounds a lot better than $175. And especially with the chip shortages, we don't know what kind of price action we are going to see. And especially with the Delta fear, with the inflation fear, the market is so uncertain that nobody, I bet you, nobody can tell you what the market is going to do next month or next week or 2 months from now. And the fourth option that I feel that I have is basically that on a major red day, I go ahead and execute one of my favorite trades. I love this trade right here, where I would go and sell the 10 put for June 2023, not January, but June 2023 for 200 strike price for Nvidia, and also buy 5 calls for $175 for June 2023 at the same time. By doing that, by increasing the ratio, selling 10 and buying 5, even though the price is kind of same, I will end up receiving right now around $21,475 at this price. And of course, Nvidia was trading higher, so I will get less money if I were to execute that today in the open market. This was last night when they announced the earnings, is when I took this screenshot. So as you can see that if I execute this trade, I have to wait for a major red day to get the most here and to pay the most here and to pay the least here. For of course, I'm selling the put, so I want to pay or I want to get more, and I'm buying the call, I want to pay less. And that will only happen if there is a major red day. So I personally feel that after listening to the conference call and the two things that I discussed, it became very clear to me. Chip shortages are here to stay for 2022. That's painful in every industry. And then the second part is the AI part, which I'm quoting directly from the conference call. This is what they said. AI is the single greatest technology force that computers and world has ever seen. The autonomous nature of AI is so massive that this will open up to so many industries and it'll change the way we do business altogether. So Nvidia call was huge for me personally, as it did give me some glimpse of what to expect in the future of AI. See, I always look at Tesla as the leading AI manufacturer or as the leading AI company, and today is the AI day, so I'm really pumped for that. But I feel by listening to another major company who is in the weeds of all of this is basically giving me more conviction, I would say, that AI is here to stay in a very big way or take over our lives in a very big way. Hope I was able to provide you some value and give you some ideas on the trades that I'm doing. I did a whole video on how I play stocks like Tesla after the earnings day. Here is the link of the video. Do check it out, as that will give you some insight on how I'm playing these companies right after the earnings. As always, I appreciate your time. If you like the video, then please consider subscribing and click on the like button so we can reach out to more investors. Thank you for joining me. Love you all. Until next time, you all have a sparkling day.